In this episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief, I sit down with John to talk all about EMBERWIND, a new breed of tabletop role-playing game that's on Kickstarter through Sunday, the 16th of December. So hang on until after our Kickstarter Corner, in which we're bringing you 4 great games that are currently on the Kickstarters. This episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief is proudly being powered by Rotunda-Last Man Standing family party game, in which you battle your friends and family in 16 mini-games to decide a champion. Had the feeling of a Mario Party for your tabletop, and they have really cool poker chips that have animated fun characters on them. So you definitely want to check this out. 15-minute playtime and really fun in Rotunda-Last Man Standing family party game that will be on Kickstarter through Thursday, the 6th of December. Let's help make this great game a reality. This episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief is also proudly powered by Oddbods G0-KARDS. Oddbods G0-KARDS is a smart and quirky card-powered racing game in which you can play with your kids can play with each other, you can also play with your gaming group. I sat down with Sid to talk all about it a bit ago, and that's actually on our last episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief. So definitely go back and listen to that if you want to see what he had to say about it. But it sounds like it's a pretty fun game, so you'll definitely want to check out Oddbods G0-KARDS that's on Kickstarter through the 12th of December. So definitely go check that out. Show a little support by clicking the link in our show notes. And if you like what you see or hear, back it on the Kickstarters. This episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief is also proudly being powered by Scorched Kingdoms, the 2-player battleground card game, in which you become a lord in our new chess-influenced war game with a fantasy TCG-style resource management and an innovative multi-deck system. They're getting really close to their goal. They have some awesome art, and it just looks like a pretty fun game. So you want a fun game? Definitely check out this great game, which it looks like you can get the base game at $25. You can do the print and play for only $10 as well. So definitely check out Scorched Kingdoms, the 2-player battleground card game, and help this become a reality. You got 16 more days to do so as this becomes a reality. If it funds and reaches that goal by Saturday, the 8th of December. So check out Scorched Kingdoms, the 2-player battleground card game.
Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf, the podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
Welcome to Getting Geeky with Game Relief. Glad you could make it. I hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving. I know you're probably out Black Friday shopping right now. Hopefully you get some great games and other fun stuff. If you want to know about some games that are on Kickstarter that you can go back when you get home, you'll definitely want to check out these great ones that we have coming up on Kickstarter Corner. Plus, you should definitely go and check out EMBERWIND. Just hang on until after we talk about these couple games, and you can find all about EMBERWIND and how great that is as well. So let's get into it, shall we?
What is this place? What is it doing here in the Leaf's computer? Oh, it's Kickstarter Corner with the Leafs.
If you're listening to Getting Geeky with Game Relief, only even a month and a half ago, you probably heard us talking about this great game, and you might have heard our interview. We're going to have another one on, as this project is nearing its ending. It's Necrotopia, Handbook to the Apocalypse, Book 1. We'll have the creator on next week, so you can find out more about it in case you missed that previous episode. But Necrotopia is a pen and paper role-playing game. They're releasing a complete 30-page color rule set book with original artwork. This is coming to us from Keenan. They funded in 4 hours after they relaunched and shortly thereafter the previous campaign. And it's Mexico-friendly shipping as well as Canada and Australia-friendly shipping. Plus, there's RPGs in the PDF. If you want to find out more about Necrotopia, make sure that you hang on and hear our interview that we'll have with Keenan this coming week. So definitely hang on for that. And if you like what you see on the page or what you hear on any of our games, always make sure you click on our link, click on over, show a little bit of support to these creators as well as Getting Geeky with Game Relief so we can keep bringing you great games. And it is a little bit of a slow time with the holidays ramping up. But do you know about a new game coming out in the near future or that's already there? Do you want to hear your game or you'd like to hear us talk about these other great games? Make sure you reach out to me via email at gamerleafgo.com. That's gamerleaf at gamerleafgo.com. Or send me a message via the Facebook's Messenger at Getting Geeky with Game Relief or Blake Leafty. Those are the best ways to get a hold of me. And we'd love to be able to get your game featured on Getting Geeky with Game Relief, or we could possibly even look at doing a giveaway with the Giveaway Geek, who I work with a lot. So you can do that, or we could even try to see about getting a preview with Logan Chop's reviews. Those are a couple of great ideas. Another great game that's on Kickstarter for a little while longer is coming to us from Blue Piper Studios. It's Glyph Chess, the Magic board game. It's a tactical style board game which can only be played by the most powerful wizards. And you know what? They've actually got a Black Friday sale going on, 40% off for 72 hours on the new add-ons. So I would head on over to check this out. It will end, this Black Friday sale will end November 26th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But they've got wooden dice box for 12 Canadian dollars instead of 20, sand clocks for $8.40 instead of 14, and acrylic dice towers for $13.80 instead of $22. These are all on their Kickstarter page add-ons, so definitely check that out and check out Glyph Chess. It is a pretty cool game. I sat down with the creators a while back ago, and you can always go in and listen to my interview with the creators. On November 19th, they posted it as an update called Podcast with Game Relief. So definitely go in and check that out, give it a listen, see if you like it, and then back their project and make sure you check out their Black Friday deals that they have going on. Last but not least on today's episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief, our Kickstarter Corner, is Robogram, the programming card game reloaded. This is a really fun game. Robogram is a game designed to introduce basic computer coding while taking opponents in epic cyber battles. I sat down with the creator of this great game to talk all about Robogram, and you'll have the pleasure of hearing our conversation about it in this upcoming week. I would check this out. If you like anything that you see on the project, make sure you back it, because right now the card decks are the same, but with some of the stretch goals, once we get this project funded, they're hoping for other decks, so it can be more of asymmetrical play. It sounds like there's more than just C++ programming language when it comes to programming computers. I didn't know that until my interview with the creator. So make sure you're subscribed to Getting Geeky with Game Relief so you never miss an episode. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your Black Friday shopping. If you need to, or you need some other entertainment, we've got a plethora of podcasts for you to listen to. You can always go to gamerleafgo.com, click on our podcast directory. All of them should show up there. Or you can subscribe on iTunes. Either way, I hope you'll go ahead and get geeky, stay geeky, and bring others into the geekfold. We'll catch y'all on the flip side of this interview. Yeah, it's an interview coming up. I fooled you, didn't I?
Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
Every story begins with a hero, and every hero begins with a choice. The choice to seize greatness by guile or grace or bravery. To delve deeper into the wonders forgotten by the world. To stand and fight against the dark and ancient things that shake the earth and rule the skies. What will your story be, hero? Rise up, hero. Our journey together is just beginning.
Did that sound familiar to you guys? It didn't to me neither, but this is the story of EMBERWIND, a new breed of tabletop role-playing game, and tonight we're lucky enough to have on one of the writers and editors of this great game, John. Is that correct, John? Is that how you fall in line with EMBERWIND, a new breed of tabletop role-playing game?
Oh, absolutely. And thanks, Blake. Happy to be here. Yeah, I think what Nomnivore and Derek have done is really kind of reinvent the role-playing game experience. And we'll go into a little bit more detail on that, but I think that claim is absolutely justified.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf. We really appreciate it, John.
My pleasure. Great to be here.
Now, before we get into everything that's great about Nomnivore and EMBERWIND, let's rewind a little bit. How did you get into playing role-playing games?
Well, it goes back a long ways. I, of course, like many of us, to be quite honest, cut my teeth on D&D, but this goes way back. I still remember, it's a story I tell with some amusement, of picking up the blue Advanced Dungeons & Dragons box set. And I was like, I don't know, 13 maybe. And I this is a true story. I bought that at a gas station in my hometown of Medford, Wisconsin. So this is going back a ways. This is before Barnes & Noble, the huge box store. This is before anything approaching a game store in my town. And so I've been playing for a long time. I happened to, through a little bit of luck and a little bit of perseverance, I fell into a book packaging job, which is what I mainly do. I'm primarily an editor for fiction. And then I met Lauren Coleman at Catalyst Game Labs and started doing some copy editing / editorial for him on fiction in the Shadowrun and Battletech worlds. And then I kind of signed on with them as fiction director, which is kind of one of my part-time jobs. And from there, it kind of grew. I have actually created a game that launched this year called Henchman with Dylan Bertolo, and that's out right now from Clarion Game Studios. But I've also worked on Shadowrun, Battletech, Dragonfire, games for Paradox. I've worked on video games, I've worked on tabletop games, and of course I do work for Nomnivore. So it just kind of happened through my contacts. It was a lot of networking, a lot of being in the right place at the right time, but also my body of work over the past 2 decades kind of spoke for itself too. So that's the short answer. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Well, there you go. Now, did they have all of the D20s and all the different dice that you needed there at your local gas station as well?
Oh, well, the blue box, I don't know if you go back this far, of course, it came with dice, but those were the kind you had to color in. This was way before any kind of, pre-printed plastic, all sorts of stuff. I remember coloring it in, and of course it would smudge all over and go over the place. But that was my first introduction to the non-six-sided die. Let's put it that way, the polyhedrals, and it was love at first sight. I just didn't stop playing until college, and even college, I cut my teeth on some games, and after college, I stopped for a while, and I'm back into it too. I should also mention I do a live stream twice a month with Arvin Elleron on Twitch TV. I really need to throw out a shout out for that. For people who want to see, which I think is a thing, I do it. I enjoy it. Our fans are great. I don't quite understand people who want to watch other people play a role-playing game, but apparently they get a kick out of it, and I love doing it for people. So it's a lot of fun. But I'm much more active in gaming now as behind the scenes, but I'm also playing as well.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that's good to hear. Yeah, that's interesting that people would want to watch it. I know a while back ago I was listening to a podcast. It's called the Glass Cannon Podcast, where they sit down and play Pathfinder, I think it is. But listening, I don't know about sitting and watching them, though. I don't got that kind of time, I don't think.
Yeah, well, I mean, we stream, and it's a setup where you see our faces, so it's not just listening to them, but you can see our reactions. You can see our in character kind of asides to each other and things like that. And Twitch is doing very well, so I guess it's an industry they took advantage of. When I always remember when I was playing and I had downtime, I had to watch other people play. I found myself to be quite bored. But for our streamers, our cast, our chat is great. They're terrific. They really get into it. They have their own theories about what's happening. They will poke us when we screw up, and they will cheer us when we do well. It's a great time, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Well, yeah. Well, if people enjoy it, I say keep doing it. So that's good.
Absolutely. And
now, do you just stick to the role-playing games, or do you get into tabletop board games as well?
I would play more tabletop if I had the time. Role-playing is about all the time I can really give to it. I do attend several of the major conventions, Dragon Con, Gen Con, Origins. So I'm always looking to play different games and test out new strategies, new ideas in gaming. So I kind of keep my hand in, but I have to be honest, that kind of stuff, that side of it, I tend to call alchemy, because I don't understand these massive spreadsheets and how people say, well, if you do this, then there's all this stuff. The mechanics of it basically are not my forte. Let's put it that way. There are other people who can do it, and I admire the heck out of them, who can plug in a number and understand how it works in terms of skill bases and how the ratios work for monsters versus characters and all that. That's not really me. I tend to be more of the word side.
Well, there you go. So, yeah, everybody's got their place, so that's good. Now, when it comes to role-playing games, would you say you have a current favorite, or what are you playing these days?
Well, I have to stay on target here, but EMBERWIND, which I have played, of course, because play testing is certainly one of my favorites out there. Our D&D group is doing D&D 5e, which I'm enjoying very much. I think I'm going to say that Wizards, I would say, course corrected after the debacle of 4, which, to be honest, I never played, so I can't really speak to its good or bad points myself. But I think 5e got them kind of back on track. I've dabbled in Pathfinder, mainly through some development work with Ataltis, but I'd never really played Pathfinder. That's really the only stuff I have time for, although I did pick up Sandy Peterson's Cthulhu, a Kickstarter he did for the Cthulhu 5e role-playing system, and I picked up that book, and from the PDF it looks fantastic, and it's a great deal. He gives you the PDF and the paper copy, an actual print copy, for like $50, and I picked it up for my birthday, and I toying with the idea of maybe running a Lovecraftian 5e campaign, either modern day or even fantasy at some point, but that's way down the road, and I haven't really given it too much thought. So primarily it's D&D for me right now. I would certainly love to try other stuff, but it's a time crunch factor is what it comes down to.
Yeah, for sure. I can only imagine. We don't get to tabletop board games to the table. It takes forever to get them to the table because you have to learn them and stuff. So I can only imagine with role-playing games and whatnot. So, yeah, that's crazy. But word on the street is you guys have a new game that's currently on Kickstarter. What can you tell us about EMBERWIND, a new breed of tabletop role-playing game, John?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Blake. And if I can touch back on what you just said about the learning curve to playing an RPG, and I think that, to be fair, although I like it, I like crunchy games, but I think sometimes games can err a little too much on the side of too many rules. But with EMBERWIND, we've actually tried to streamline both everything from character creation to combat to role playing. And Derek often says even a new player can understand how to create a character in about 15 to 20 minutes and be playing the adventure within 30 from start to finish. And it really, when we were doing demos, we were just at UmaCon in Detroit last week, a couple weeks ago, and we were running people through demos, and they were picking up by round 2 in terms of the combat system. They were already gaming it out, planning strategies and tactics. It's a streamlined game, but it has a lot of breadth. So there's a lot of depth you can take it to if that's your thing. If you just want to run the story fairly linearly, because what we call Emberwind kind of a cross between choose your own path or choose your own adventure story and a tabletop game. But there's varying degrees. You can go deep into RP. You can go deep into role-playing if your group likes that kind of thing. Another advantage to Emberwind is you can also play it GM-less completely, where each player takes a turn being what we call the storyteller. And they lay out the scenarios, and they take the rest of the players through a scenario, and then it switches. When the next one starts, you just hand the book off, and then you resume your playing, and the other person takes on the role of the storyteller. So, and the third thing, which I think is very interesting, you can also play it GM-less as a solo game as well. You don't need a group. Everyone not show up, pick up Skies of Axia, and start at page 1, create your group, and you can run it yourself. Because our enemy AI allows you to run both the bad guys and your group without losing any sense of playing depth, is what it comes down to.
Well, that sounds like a pretty cool idea. So that's awesome.
Thank you. I was very impressed when Derek told me about it, and all the playing we've done, I've been more and more impressed with how he's created this new system, allowing the various levels of play.
So you say you're a writer and editor. How did you guys get in touch with each other?
So I've been going to Gen Con for the past, I think it's been going on 10 or 12 years now. And one of the things I do is panels for the Writer Symposium, which is a great program on writing fiction, writing for games. If anyone is interested in writing at Gen Con, I strongly suggest you check out the panels. They're staffed by industry professionals. It's been going on for over a decade now, and it's really, really a very in-depth program for answering any questions you might have about writing either in the game industry or fiction in general. That's my plug for them. But seriously, it's an awesome program. So I was doing panels, and like I said at the beginning, Derek came up to me after one of my panels on, I think it was working with clients just in general. And I'd mentioned that I was looking for new projects. And he said, hey, I caught this, and I wanted to talk to you about working on this game I was starting up. And we spent the rest of the con kind of chatting about it. And when he started sending me the information, I signed on board, and I've been working for him I've gotten my hands touched in just about everything we've done so far. So, and it's been going terrifically. I couldn't be happier with how the game is progressing, how we're progressing, and the Kickstarter is just a natural extension of that. It's the next level for us to take the Emberwind game to a whole new level.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so just scrolling through the Kickstarter page, it sure looks pretty amazing.
Well, it's all due to our incredible team. For Peter Chkowski, who handled most of the creation of the Kickstarter, and Toma, our artists, Spencer and Lance, our PR and web people, everyone's just done a fantastic job kind of bringing Derek's vision to life. And I mean, we've got, you see the levels, you see what's involved, you see what we've got ready for people to sign on to. And I want to do a quick shout out to all the backers who have pledged to us already. Thank you so much. First of all, you're really helping us take this to the next level. We want to make it bigger and better. And to everyone who wants to check it out, please do. We've got plenty of stuff you can take a look at. We have a FAQ that will cover most of your basic questions. And we hope at some point, if you like that and you do pledge, you'll go to our website, which is EMBERWINDGames.com, where there's downloadable scenarios you can try out. There is a quick start rule packet, I believe. You can also, you could actually try before you buy in a lot of ways. If you want to sit down with your group or by yourself and check out the system, download some of our things that a scenario for us, you can take it through, run it through, and then come back and, if it's something you want to get more involved in, we'd be happy to, of course, have you.
Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like to see that when people do that, so you can go ahead and check out the game. Like you said, try before you buy. So if me and you were to sit down to play Emberwind, I know it's not it's not a tabletop board game, it's a role-playing game. How's that going to look like? If we sat down and play, what kind of rules are we dealing with?
Derek's probably the better one to go into it. The main thing I would talk about is combat, because the RPing is basically the level, as I said before, what your players want to play. If they want to play light RP or heavy RP, that's totally up to them. I don't want to take up too much time to go into the character sheet, which is also downloadable from EMBERWINDGames.com. But basically, it comes down to there, of course, your typical stats. And, of course, you have your values. You have your skills and your checks and things like that. And we have, let's see, we break it down really into what's called barrier values and defense values. And the thing I like about the combat system is that you have multiple chances to either avoid completely or mitigate damage. First of all, you have technically it's a dodge or a willpower, because magical attacks are one of two ways. Physical damage-based attacks are coming out one of two ways, either physical or magic. And physical you avoid using your dodge skill, and magic you avoid using willpower. If that attack gets through, you also have another secondary level where your toughness takes off physical damage and your resistance takes off magical damage, which means it lowers the points. There are skills, of course, athletics, knowledge, stealth, focus, and those come into handy for skill checks, but I'm not going to really jump into them hugely here. I think the really brilliant thing that Derek created was when you roll to attack something, you make what's called a CAP check, which stands for critical, accuracy, and penetration. And of course, the gold standard is your critical. You want to hit that, which is usually, of course, your lower number, 3 or below. You want to hit that, and on a critical, you do automatic full damage that penetrates, which means none of their resistances or dodges are effective against it. So you're doing your roll, you just don't even roll. We just full damage, you're done. Accuracy is the minimum you want to get. That number is usually higher. It's somewhere in the 12 to 14 range. That ensures you've actually hit your target, but their defenses will still apply, either toughness or resistance. And then there's a third number, which is the P, is penetration, which if you roll under that one, which is typically, something 8, 9, or 10, which is a little bit harder to get, that means you've bypassed their defenses, so you're rolling for full damage. And that's all in one roll. You just roll the D20, and the interesting thing is that you're always, in Emberwind, you're always trying for low. The 1 is the best number you can get. So you roll your D20, and based on the number, it tells you what kind of level of effectiveness you have against your enemy.
Okay, so you're rolling a D20 and then trying to get the lower numbers. That's interesting.
That is correct. So it's always been interesting demoing these, where some people say, oh, this game should be great for me. I always roll low, and then it turns around, and some people actually do keep rolling low, and they have a lot of fun with it. But we've never had someone come away not enjoying themselves, which is always a good thing, which of course is always what we strive for. It takes a little bit of getting used to the low instead of high, but once they get into it, it's we're off to combat.
Yeah, it sounds like it might be a good game for the Glass Cannon podcast. One of the characters on there, I think his name is Joe. He's always rolling for Pathfinder. He's always rolling low numbers, and they always tease him about that. But it sounds like he'd do really good in your game.
Yeah, exactly. And then, real quick, I want to touch on each class, from warrior to archer to rogue, has special what we call class actions that are class specific abilities. Sometimes they're offensive, sometimes they're defensive, and then they also have something called tide turners. And each class has a separate category of those, and those are more powerful abilities that can turn the tide of battle, which is where the turn came from. They're often more limited, and they use what we call tide turner charges that you have a limited amount of in each campaign. So you have to judge, is this the right time in this combat to use this tide turner, knowing I probably won't be able to use it for the rest of the campaign, so I have to be very careful where I dish it out. It's a very robust system, and it has a lot of depth. It's meant for player compatibility and what's the word I'm looking for? Cooperation. That's it. The more you work with your party, the better off you will be. I can guarantee seeing it all the time. And it's fun watching gamers who are familiar with each other's style and tactics sit down and play this, and they start working together like almost immediately. And it's a lot of fun to see them pull things out. And that's one thing I've really enjoyed, is that this is very much a cooperative game. You can certainly RP it where if people want to be sneaky about it, but in combat, going off on your own will usually get you terminated fairly quickly. It's really a cooperative kind of thing for fighting.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. You wanted to be cooperative and whatnot on there, so that's awesome. Now, yeah, so now with it sounds like, I forget what you said they're called, but there are special abilities in which you can play it once turn per game depending on your character. Is that right? Is that kind of like a card or a superpower you have one time every game, or?
superpower is kind of a good term for it. Yeah, they're called tide turners, and each class has their own version of them. And yeah, everything's on your character is on one sheet of paper. We were very. It took us a long time to get everything you needed on one sheet, and it's both sides technically, but the base stuff you need is on the front. Everything you need to go and play, and all your numbers and all your stats and everything are on the front. The tide turners. Yeah, it's kind of like superhero powers. I think that's a very good way to describe it. And some of them, it varies. Some of them are one shots where I amp up basically and I do massive damage, or I have what's called a field effect where this thing affects the entire field, where if you're taking a step, you're doing damage or something's happening. Some of them are ongoing. We have things that are called sustains, where you can keep a spell effect or a class action effect going if you choose to sustain it, basically. That's also something that's very interesting that we've done. And another tactic is what's called amplify. There are certain skills where you can do one thing, and then if you choose to spend something of your action pool, which I should probably go into, you can make it better. You can amplify it, basically. The other end, maybe we should move this around to the front if you can. I'm not sure if you can do this in edit. But there's also something called an action pool, where you have a certain number of actions, and that's how you figure out what you can do in a turn. Is each of the class actions, each of the tide turners cost an action, either a fast, slow, or a free action. You have a certain number of those that you can spend each turn, depending on how you want to do that too.
And does it depend on your character, how many actions you can move, like what class you are or whatnot?
Well, every character starts with a base number of them. It's either 2 slow, a slow and 2 fast in any order, or 4 fast. There are skills, of course, that give you more actions. There are skills that reduce the speed of one, like from a slow to a fast, so you can use it more quickly and therefore gain more actions in your action pool. So there's ways to modify them. Let's put it that way. So that's how that works.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And it looks like at the time of the recording, the Kickstarter is not doing too shabby. It's like almost only $1,100 away, and you still got 26 days to go. So that's awesome.
Oh, that's fantastic! Yeah, we could not be happier. Of course, we'd love to be funded. Let's be honest, but we could not be happier with the response that we've gotten from folks. Certain call-outs have been given that have kind of boosted our signal. And again, I just can't thank everyone who's come by and saw to take a shot on this. Nomnivore is just getting started. We have many great things in store, but to have this kind of response from the community is just tremendous.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know what you can say and what you can't say, but I wanted to talk a little bit about Nomnivore. What can you tell us about that?
Well, Nomnivore Games is Derek's company. And that's, of course, so EMBERWIND kind of falls under that. That's kind of it's the parent company of EMBERWIND. And it's a game company that he's started. It's, currently, I'm not sure how many people we have working for us right now, but between freelancers and staff, we're still small. We're definitely indie, but he's got great plans. And having seen him in action, I'm sure it's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the coming years. EMBERWIND is just the start. We have many more things in the future that I cannot go into too many more details about, but it's a pretty exciting time, and I'm very glad to be working with them. Also, just everyone in Nomnivore is so creative, from the PR to the game design to the writing. It's just been an absolute treat, and everyone's fully on board and committed to making this the best game it can be.
Oh, okay, yeah, it looks pretty cool. Like I said, just scrolling through the Kickstarter and whatnot.
And you see our artists are incredible. Almost every time someone picks up the book or looks at the art, that one of the first things they comment on is like, the art is amazing, and it's incredible who Derek has gotten to do the art for us with Toma and the others artists that are working with us. They're just incredible.
Yeah, for sure. And even like people that don't necessarily have enough to get the whole game and they want to enjoy the art, it looks like they're doing a bookmark pledge level that they can go with as well.
Exactly. Yes, those are glossy fronts. I think they call them prism front, and matte back. They're and full color, and they're fantastic. It's a brief sampling of the game, and I have to say, if you can give the $5, I think it starts at 10. I can't remember. I feel you're kind of missing out if you can't figure out a way to pull the book together, or either like you get your gaming buddies together to grab at least the PDF. And one thing I should mention about the PDF, Blake, is that these are lifetime PDFs. We are already working on updates, and every time we update, everyone who has already bought a PDF for the book will get those files automatically. We want to make sure that everyone is playing the most up-to-date version EMBERWIND that we can create, and it's in a constant state of improvement. We're always looking to make our games better.
Yeah, that's always good to hear. You don't hear about much improvement like usually with these other games. You might have to go get a new book or whatnot. So that's pretty cool.
Right, they release the 2.0, but we want to make sure it's available to everyone from the start. That's very important to us to make sure that our players are satisfied with what they're getting, and that they're always, as fans and players have already come up and suggested things to us and asked questions. They're like, well, yeah, we need to clarify that, and that's what we're working on right now.
Well, that's great. Now, when it comes to Emberwood, a new tabletop role-playing game, what are you most proud of?
I think overall, the streamlined system, the system that is at once cohesive, and I don't want to use the word basic. I want to use the word it's easy to pick up and play. I've been playing for so long that it's really hard to surprise me with a new system. And how this one, where anyone, if you've never even played an RPG before, you can pick this up in about a half hour, 20 minutes to 30 minutes. And I think that is really the most impressive thing, that someone can be sitting down and literally playing without the 2 hours of explanation of how the game works. And that's what I'm most impressed with, is the ease of entry for players of all levels.
Yeah, that's got to be something to be proud of. That's for sure. Now, you talk, especially for those that haven't played role-playing games, that they can pick it up so quick. But with those that have played role-playing games, with all of the game projects that are on Kickstarter all the time, I'm constantly seeing all these 5e and different settings and whatnot. What makes you guys' game pop out and stand out as one my audience should go check out and then come back if they like what they see, John?
Well, I think I'm going to call out the same thing, is that our system of playing is just so easy to pick up. EMBERWIND is a game that you can certainly play a long campaign in if you enjoy it, but also it's a great pickup game if you have a couple members didn't make it, and if you are like a lot of us that don't like to play without your full complement, but you guys got together and want to play something. There's also a great game to pick up for an evening as well, because the scenarios are timed to not take up too long. So you can certainly get through a couple of scenarios of like the Skies of Axia for EMBERWIND in an evening and have a great time doing it. So it doesn't. You sit down within 15 minutes after reading some basic rule sets, you can be playing the game.
And I like the idea where you can pass the book around. You don't have to be stuck with one GM doing the whole thing. So in that is that with just different scenarios that in the book? So I finish a scenario and then I give it to my friend and he'll do the next scenario and so on and so forth?
That is exactly correct. And the thing is, even the storyteller can still play a character. You don't have to give that up either. Just because you're running the bad guys, it doesn't mean you can't still be fighting them. So it's terrific. But we also allow, if someone wants to give a deeper, more immersive experience, of course, there is a role for a full game master, absolutely, who can delve into more, character minutia and things like that. But yeah, it's worked really well to have people go around and like you said, you're not tied down to the GM role if you don't want to be. It's everyone takes turns, and you run through the scenario, and then you get into either the combat or whatever the situation is that you're role playing, and it just every so often we divided it so you can move along at a good pace, so no one feels like they're stuck with GMing for half the night, basically. Or the whole night for that matter, if that's not what they want to really are up for.
That's got to be a great idea. So that's awesome. Now, I imagine there's so many scenarios in the book, and I imagine people can write their own scenarios, but how many scenarios actually come in the book, or how many times can I go in and play Emberwood, a new breed of tabletop role-playing game?
Well, this is the great thing about the choose your own path. It actually can be played multiple times, and you can have multiple endings, is what happens. Because the choices your characters make early on or midway through the game will modify the ending. So I believe we said, and there are actually 2 play-throughs. My gamer group was kind enough to let me kind of take over. And for those who want to see it, it's in the frequently asked questions, I believe, under the Kickstarter. You can actually watch some of the tabletop play on Twitch and through Roll20. And I believe we said estimates about 14 to 16 hours going from start to finish. But again, just because you went through it one time doesn't mean you can't go through it again and try different choices. There are different selections you can do, and again, it'll change the ending, and that carries on from campaign to campaign. The choices you make in one campaign will affect how you proceed through future books. So it's very much an interlinked and ongoing. And then when you get to the end of like 3 books, you're like, well, I want to go back and take this choice instead and see where that changes the next playthrough differently. So it actually gives replayability for the same adventure, which I think is also a very strong and an interesting characteristic of the games that we're putting out.
Yeah, that's always good, so it doesn't get dull.
Right, or it's not just a one and done either.
Yeah, one of the one shots, so that's cool. Now, we don't want to keep you all night, John. So minus coming there to your hometown to stalk you, how can people go about keeping up with you or Nomniver or what you guys have going on with Emberwind or upcoming games?
Yeah, well, the best place to go is, of course, again, EMBERWINDgames.com. Or I think it's actually, I'm sorry, EMBERWIND Game, singular, EMBERWINDgame.com. That's the best place for updates on what we're doing with it. A more broad-based one is Nomnivore Games, but I strongly suggest people check out Emberwind first because that's going to give you more details. And we're also, things are available. There's items available like character sheets and things through the website as well. So you can start picking up. Again, I strongly urge to try before you buy. You can pick up character sheets and scenarios to play before even going back to the Kickstarter. But we do hope that you come back to the Kickstarter and check out what we're doing there as well. Myself, it's johnhelfers.net, basically. Like I said, I do Shadowrun fiction and editing. I do Battletech, but this is all Nomnivore for me. And if people want to check out what I do on the game side, you can check out Henchman, which is available from Clarion Game Studios, which was co-designed with Dylan Bertolo. And we had a blast, and Michael Sierravella from Clarion picked that up, and we couldn't be happier. So yeah, like I said, I keep busy. As a freelancer, I kind of have to. But this has been one of the highlights of my game work experience, to be quite honest.
That's always good to hear. And as long as if you get me the links, I'll go ahead and make sure I leave them in the show notes so people can just type it in. They don't have to type it in. They can go ahead and click on over. So that's good.
Perfect. Yeah.
I don't know if you can talk about upcoming stuff. I know you guys are focused on the Emberwind right now, but is there anything upcoming that you guys might have in your back pocket that you can reveal to us?
Well, yeah, the biggest one, of course, is I believe it's if I got the title right, it's the Songweave Tapestry, which is the next campaign in the Skies of Axia kind of overarching storyline. And again, that campaign book will be modified by choices that the players make in Skies of Axia. I'm hoping to do where it's in progress right now. Where I can't really say much about it myself because I haven't seen much. I just know it's in progress right now, and we'll start doing some more heavy editorial and expansion of it in the coming months. But that's our big goal for the Kickstarter. You'll see it's definitely on there as, hey, the Skies is pretty much done, but we want to do some polishing on that as well. Like I said, lifetime PDF and lifetime book. We want to take what we've learned off the first iteration and improve it, and everyone who backs it will get the latest version. So that's always a good thing. And then we have also the Microlight rules. This is a big one that if you go check the Kickstarter, that we want to allow you to make your own characters, make your own heroes. And that's a really big deal. We're very excited about that coming out too. So that's another big goal for us as well. Because in Skies, you're playing with kind of a pre-generated set because we want to get people playing quickly. But the Microlight rule system allows you to take what you've learned and now I want to make my own man of action. I want to make my own mage, my own ardent, my own spiritualist, my own character that I want to put my own stamp on. So the Microlight rules will definitely help you with that. So you can start taking your own parties into Axia and Songweave and other places in the world.
Well, yeah, both of those things sound awesome. If I'm looking at this correctly, you guys as the standalone campaigns or whatnot, it looks like for the Skies of Axia, you're actually going to have a free monthly downloadable content packages on Drive-Thru RPG. Am I right?
That is something we're working on. Yes, it is in progress. I think it's going to start up pretty soon, or they might have actually done a couple. We were doing they're not gazettes. They're kind of packages of. We're packaging up things that we've already produced in a compact file, I guess, for people. But I know for Roll20 we are working on doing that stuff as well. Or you said Drive-Thru. Was it Drive-Thru RPG?
Yeah, that's what it says. Take a look at yourself for the first standalone campaign, The Skies of Axia, our free monthly DLC package on Drive-Thru RPG.
Yes, yeah. It's a package of critters and lore and other things that will kind of deepen your knowledge of the world. Absolutely.
That's awesome. So yeah, and then you talked about the microlight rules, so we can go in and make our own characters and whatnot. So that's pretty cool too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but like I said, we don't want to keep you all night, but we really appreciate you coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief with us tonight to talk all about EMBERWIND, a new breed of tabletop role-playing game that's currently on Kickstarter through Sunday, the 16th of December. We really appreciate it, John.
Well, it's my pleasure, Blake. Thank you so much for having me. This has been great.
Yeah, no problem at all. Well, I hope you enjoyed our interview. We sat down with John to talk all about EMBERWIND, a new breed of tabletop role-playing game. If you like what you heard, make sure you go ahead and check out the Kickstarter page, and then back at this project, since our recording of the episode has reached its goal, and you still have through Sunday the 16th of December to check it out. But anyways, I don't want to interrupt your Black Friday shopping anymore. Make sure you get some cool games and cool things. And we'll catch you on the flip side of this weekend on Cyber Monday. So in the meantime, go ahead and get geeky, stay geeky, and bring others in the geekfold. We'll catch you on the flip side of the weekend. Game Relief out.
Gamer Leaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if Gamer Leaf's luck holds up.